Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I have done many videos on the Tavistock Clinic, a clinic where they take in children and regardless of what is wrong with them, be it depression or grief, maybe they're gay and their parents don't want to acknowledge it, but whatever it is, for whatever reason, and usually without any psychiatric evaluation, they start them, even after a single visit, on hormones. They start them on treatments to change their gender, and they book them down for experimental surgery. Thousands of them. Thousands upon thousands of children. It's like a hobby to them. It's something they must fetishize, the sterilisation of children. The outrage came, and they announced that they're closing the Tavistock Clinic. But that's not good enough for the monsters that do this to children. So they set up their own private clinic outside of the NHS. I've done a video about this. Half the staff that work there have also worked at the Tavistock. They seem to get a wonderful relishment involved with the sterilisation, the mass sterilisation, on an industrial scale of children. Dr. Mengele would be proud of them. It's been open a month and they're already under investigation. It goes to show that these people aren't in it for any medical reason. They're just in it for the fun involved in doing this and destroying children. Let's look at this article and let's hope that this too gets closed down, but it probably won't. Anyway, here goes. Now health watchdog probes the private gender clinic set up by staff from the scandal hit Tavistock unit. The private clinic is being investigated just 1 month after it was opened, and critics have voiced fears that Gender Plus, the name of the clinic, poses a serious risk to young people. Absolutely it does. These people are monsters. They're not helping children. They're going, what have you come in? Well, hurt me finger. Oh, it must be trans. Let's get your ghoulies off. It's almost like that. They are not doing psychiatric or psychoanalytical examinations. They're not giving full histories. You're getting a lot of the case, it's parents trans housing them. Little Johnny's, we think he's gay, but it'd be better if little Johnny was little Janie. So we'll whip his balls off, then he can kiss as many boys as he likes, and that everything is fine. That's happening. That is undoubtedly happening. You're getting the children that have undergone this, regretted it, and said they're detransitioning by the thousands. They are actually getting together for a, class action. This class action, when it goes to court, will end up costing the NHS billions, with a B, billions. That's how bad this is. And they are still doing it. Anyway, the Mail on Sunday can reveal that the controversial new Gender Plus clinic, which may refer children and teenagers for gender reassignment surgery and hormone treatment, is being probed for failing to register with the health regulator, the Care Quality Commission, which said it was not currently looking at a criminal investigation. But it may well. Last night, critics voiced fears that Gender Plus poses a serious risk to young people. It absolutely does. The same risk as the Tavistock, that was so bad it's being closed down. No one is assessing them. No, there are cases of children going on one visit to the Tavistock, and on that first visit being issued hormone drugs that will change them permanently. The person issuing them is not a consultant, is not an expert in this field. How is this not medical negligence? Well, it is, quite plainly, and when it goes to court, it'll end up costing a lot of money. It will bankrupt the NHS. That's what these people have done. And good. Bankrupt the NHS. Absolutely bankrupt it and take it apart and then rebuild it from the ground up, but put patients before ideologies. Anyway, around half of the clinic's staff previously worked at the Tavistock Gender Identity Development Service, the NHS's only clinic treating people or children for gender dysphoria, which is about a 1 in a million case, not the thousands that they're seeing all the time. It isn't gender dysphoria. It's children who are confused. Sometimes they're autistic. And they go, oh no, yeah, you might have autism, but it's trans autism. They're doing this to children like this. That's why they're going to pay. Anyway, it was ordered to close last year after a damning NHS review. Dr. Hilary Cass, the Cass review, ruled the service was not safe for children. They were told they had to close, and they were told initially they were going to close in April last year. April 2023. It was supposed to close in April 23. It then was pushed forward to October 23, and now it won't close until November 24, because they keep trying to keep it open because they want to get as many children through the door. They want to sterilise children by the bucket load as quickly as they can. They've fetishised the sterilisation of children at this clinic. Anyway, the clinic, which opened in the 1980s, was strongly criticised for allegedly rushing thousands of teenagers onto life-altering puberty-blocking drugs. Since then, former patients have come forward and saying they regret transitioning. Former Tavistock staff opened Gender Plus, which has many offices in London, Birmingham and Dublin last month. The children's website says it provides specialist gender assessment for children, adolescents and young adults. But it especially wants to get the children, doesn't it? They offer referrals to clinicians who provide hormone treatment and surgery. Its gender assessment sessions cost £275 for a 1 hour appointment, and it is recommended that under 18s need 6 sessions for a full assessment. That's not what they were doing at the Tavistock. There, they were doing it on a single session. This takes the total bill to £1,650 because they need the money. But there are concerns from doctors that most consultations are being carried out remotely via Zoom calls, so you can't read the person, you can't see the body language, you can't see what's not being said. You don't know if there's prompting behind with the parents saying yes, yes in little Johnny's ear. You don't know. Gender Plus's clinical director, Dr. Aidan Kelly, was at Tavistock for 5 years until it was closed down. It's still open. While 6 other former Tavistock staff worked for Gender Plus. Its website claims the company is in the process of setting up associated hormone clinics run by consultant nurse Paul Carruthers, who was a member of the Tavistock team from 2015 onwards. Another fella who wants to sit there and sterilise children because he gets off on it. But Gender Plus is already facing issues. The new clinic has alarmed officials at the Care Quality Commission, which started investigating its practices last week. These people don't need investigating, they need jailing and gelding. Do to them what they're doing to the children. See if they like it. A source at the Watchdog said, based on information available on this company's public website, the registration team has referred Gender Plus to the National Enforcement Team as an unregistered provider for further review of these services. Investigators will seek to establish whether Gender Plus should have been registered with the regulator prior to it opening. Of course it should. It's doing things to children. You need experts, and he isn't an expert. He is a fetishist who enjoys sterilising children. However, Gender Plus say they are offering consultation and therapy sessions that do not require CQC oversight, as clinical services would. If they're pushing them forward for this, yes they do. The Watchdog previously branded the Tavistock's gender unit as inadequate following a 2020 inspection, and 2 years later it was shut down by the NHS following almost 2 decades of concerns from former staff and relatives. And that is not actually true. It is still treating people to this day. It is not totally, completely closing until November next year. Critics said the Tavistock Clinic's affirmative treatment model ignored evidence that an astonishing 97.5% of children seeking sex changes had autism, depression or other problems that might have explained their unhappiness rather than gender dysphoria. 97.5% of the children it put down through the sausage factory, no pun intended, through this sausage factory of sterilisation, 97.5% of them were not gender dysphoric. How are these people not in jail with their ghoulies in a jar? Unbelievable, isn't it? Dr. Kelly is described by Gender Plus as having the specialist skills in the assessments of gender identity needs and making recommendations for gender-affirming medical treatments. I would describe him as a Dr. Mengele who enjoys experimental surgery on children. But that's just my view. One clinician, Iggy Moon, previously claimed that considering gender to be a male-female binary is inherited from colonialism. No, it's not. It is the actual truth. This person alone, Iggy Moon, needs to be debarred from ever practicing any kind of medical treatment, and especially on children. Last night, Dr. Louise Irvin, a GP with 27 years' experience who is part of the clinical and advisory network on sex and gender, said Gender Plus employs several former Tavistock staff and appears to use the same discredited, affirmative model of care involving referral for puberty blockers and hormones that led to the decision to close it after a CQC inspection deemed it inadequate. Gender Plus is not registered with the CQC, so how will patients and their parents know they are getting safe and effective care from an unregulated provider? They don't. They're not. It's simple as that. The parents don't know, and they are not getting the correct care. They're getting in to experimental surgeons who love to just get their hands on children and who probably have bell jars filled with the genitals that they have removed. They probably toss off on them as well because they are sick people who are doing this. 97.5% of all the patients they've treated should never have been treated. That is butchery. That is not medicine. That is just plain butchery. And these bastards need to be in jail for it. Anyway, I'm going to come up because I'm getting angry again. Every single clinician, doctor, nurse, specialist, everyone at this new clinic and everyone at the old one, they all need to be disbarred. They all need to be taken off the medical register. They must be told they can never practice medicine again because this isn't medicine. This is the island of Dr. Moreau. They are creating hybrids, mutants, experimental creatures, and they're doing it for their own financial gain and probably pleasure. There's no other explanation. Why would they be doing these things on all these children, 97.5% of whom are not transgender? It is sickening, it is wrong, and there needs to be a full criminal investigation into every single member of staff because they are either doing it or they're keeping their big beak shut and saying nothing. There needs to be an absolute referral and jail time. Serious jail time for everyone concerned. And I'll stop. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please do hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, guard your children, and remember, they're probably not transgender. Goodbye.